Hi and welcome to my podcast. My name is Ali Hart and you are listening to Build a Creative Business in a Noisy World. But for the next while, we are delving deeper into something that I'm really passionate about, and that is learning how to love ourselves from our brain to our very bones. I have different experts joining me from the wellbeing industry, and I really hope you can join me on this journey as we dig a little deeper to learn about ourselves, but also just to realize that life is to be lived and how can we reach that capacity by doing internal work, external work, and all of the above. I really hope you enjoy the episode.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode in this series called The Inside Out. It is really great to be back and to be recording in my new studio, which is not painted yet, but is full of beautiful light. So all of you that are watching on YouTube can see the space. And also, I think sometimes it gives perspective on painting, so you can see how large the paintings are. But today, ironically, I have not a pick of makeup on, not even my eyelashes curled. So last night I was staying in Ballycastle and left my bag behind. I was doing a thing for World Heart Day, which is today we're recording on. And so I bought a toothbrush in the petrol station. And that is what Joanne Thompson, who is a beauty therapist, but so much more than that, she'll be able to tell you about her journey. And I have had the luxury, Joanne knows this, I don't get facials very often, but when I do, I go to Joanne. And the reason that I wanted to have her on is we're talking about from the inside out, but there's just so much more than this. We look at filters nowadays, we look at everything superficially on the outside, and Joanne embodies all of that. So I can't wait to hear what she's got to say. Hi, Joanne.
Hi. So I'm Joanne. I am of Skinn Therapy on Skettrick Island, and I have been in the beauty industry for a very long time, about 24 years, and I mainly do everything sort of skin and wellness. So that's what I'm driving for at the moment with the business.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, it's lovely to see you. It's funny to see you on a screen, but I'm really glad you stepped out, because I know that you were a bit taken aback whenever I said about you being on here, but it's so good to see you.
It's a bit nerve-wracking, but thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Good. Well, you were just telling me about the house there, because you guys are building. Tell us about where you're located and how you got to that point.
So the salon is in Skettrick Island, which is on Strangford Lough in County Down. And I have had a couple of salons over the years in different places. And previous to opening here, I had a shed in the garden, and we were planning on selling, moving the house, and I couldn't do both. I couldn't move the house and the business all at once. Mm-hmm. So this building used to sell boats out of it, and it was available. So this is where I chose to come to. It's such an amazing place, such a beautiful drive down to it. And I think the wellness begins even just on the journey here, seeing the sea.
Yeah, because I was talking a lot even there today. I was out on the water this morning for World Heart Day with Nigel Armstrong, who is actually the branding, the t-shirt that I have, Basalt 6. But we were talking about the beauty of Northern Ireland. I've said it on here before, is that people will travel. Like, I'm not near to you, but like I'll go to you whenever your business and your people understand that there is more than just you're going for a treatment. Do you find that, you're saying about the wellness journey?
Like, probably the furthest away client I would have that travels regularly would be Castle Rock.
Wow.
So definitely, like, I think it's sort of, they're passing 100 other salons to get here, but my main focus is a sort of 360-degree approach, treating the inside, the outside, and what goes on around us, as in sort of our mind and stuff like that.
Has it always been that way? So tell me, you're saying about 20 years there. What has it always been like that for you, or what was the start like?
No, I started into it at 16, being sort of but to be honest, being told that I would waste my education going into this. So when you're 16, you do what you're told not to do. And that was sort of started me off. The salons I worked for, I was very lucky that their training was very, very good. And the salon owners were so passionate and so enthusiastic about the whole industry, that sort of drove me on. The last sort of recession, so what, sort of 10, 11 years ago, the skin industry sort of disappeared overnight quite a bit. People find it as a luxury rather than an essential. It has changed a lot in the last couple of years, which is great. But the nail industry picked up at that stage, and I taught for the nail industry for many years. But the skin and the wellness side of it just always kept pulling me back.
Yeah.
When I was building this business, my main clientele was nails, because that's what I was known for throughout the whole of Ireland. But it was always outside of that, it was always the sort of wellness and skin side of it that was my passion.
Yeah. And tell me then, wellness, what does that mean to you? Like what would that trigger word be for you?
So, like, as I said, treating everybody sort of the whole way round. So the main thing for me is that you get a full consultation when you come in, and that's to see what gaps is going on within your life, whether it's stress, whether it's diet, or sort of exercise, or what it is that is missing within your life, needs a little bit of help with it. Could just be a listening ear sometimes rather than anything else.
You did have sorry, you broke up there. You did have a counselling service in the space, didn't you?
Yes, she's just currently hasn't come back from COVID. But yeah, I have a personal trainer, and I had a counsellor as well. So hopefully the counselling will come back maybe at the beginning of next year.
So you find then, for people, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you because it paused there. So for you then, I really love that notion of the gaps, because that's what this whole series is about, you know, looking at how we can better ourselves, like how we can live our best selves, not even better ourselves, just live our best, how we're intended to live. And do you find then, so just you're talking, I've thought about it, a few of the trainers, and we're talking about routine and the beauty of routine. And even there on the bikes today, I was chatting to one of the business guys about setting a routine, how good that is for the mind. Do you think even a not beauty routine, skin routine is something that actually could get people up in the mornings?
Yeah, I definitely find there's that sort of, I think even more now than ever before, we're all on Zoom. All looking at each other through a screen. So not only am I looking at you, but I'm looking at myself.
Yeah. And
I think to have that routine is really, really important. When your skin is the largest organ of your body. But when it is healthy, you generally do feel better about yourself.
Yeah. Whenever I purchase products from you, I've said to you before, I love that. Well, your service is great, but you'll include little samples of things, and it's not just like all face. There was the body oil one time, there's the lip balm, and then I ended up buying the lip balm, which it was the only product I had in my car from last night. So I put a wee bit under my eyes actually too. I was like, maybe that'll help. But I can tell that it's your skin there. Tell me about skin being the biggest organ, because it is not just face, which is what people think about when they think of skincare, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's where the sort of approach comes from treating everything, because obviously we wear what we eat, we wear food, and your skin being the largest organ of your body shows everything. So the likes of you talking about the heart and stuff like that, like when your heart's unhealthy, your skin's unhealthy, because all the nutrients need to go to the vital organs. Your skin is the first thing that starts to show signs of problems and issues. And I think people think of their skin being their face and nowhere else. They really don't think about their legs or their arms, and that's where finding out with the nutritional side of it and with your stress levels and everything else that's going on, where it affects the whole skin as a whole, rather than just looking at it as sort of the face. There was a great thing I heard by the Skin Nerd, if you've ever came across her. She says facial products should be nipple up and body products nipple down. And I think that's so
good. But then whenever you're talking there as well about the different zones, well, we had Kirsty on, hers will have aired by this stage, and she does a lot of reflexology, and we're talking about what you can tell from the feet. But when I'm in for a facial with you, and like I'm talking about this, I've only been in for a few because I actually always forget and I don't make time for them. And I think that's even like, I know we all say, oh, self-care isn't about bubble baths anymore, but for me, actually, the whole act of driving to you, being there is self-care for me. But you can tell loads by my face.
Yeah, so it all sort of comes out through different areas. Like, one of the most common and probably well-known areas would be sort of around the area, and when people break out, it's normally a hormonal issue. But every area of your face shows something relating to your body. I also do reflexology, so it is very similar in that you can tell the different things from the feet. You can also tell them from the face and how the skin has reacted, whether it's maybe just excess sensitivity or breakouts or maybe flaking and stuff like that. I used to get an awful lot of flaking in between my eyebrows, and that is generally relating to the digestive system and the gut. And for a long time, I would have said my gut was very unhealthy. But thankfully now I have changed that around, and it just totally disappeared. And that wasn't due to topically, that was due to what I was putting inside my body.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I had drinks on Saturday night, and on Sunday, I don't know if it's a psychological thing too, but you know, and you just think I look like I look dried out and grey and whatever. And that was like, because I was thinking, why do I? Because I've just put on my moisturizer, but it's because internally you don't feel, your liver's like, what's just happened here?
Yeah, a lot of people will get the sort of darkness under their eyes with their liver, and then even with any, now I don't mean alcoholics, but I mean any alcohol can show up. Like, we all have sort of heard of the alcoholic's nose, the bulbous nose, but any form of alcohol at all, people tend to flush just across their cheeks and over their nose, and it's just the blood vessels are sort of dilating more than what they do normally. So that,
well, just to tell you something funny, because you know that I always tell you anyway, and I'll tell the world now. But so I've had Botox twice in my life, and the second time I went, I'm actually going to sound like I'm an alcoholic here. I'm not. And I drink to excess. But I went to get my second one there. It was like last Christmas, so definitely, like, if I was to go for it now, like, it's that big line here. But you know, you're obviously not meant to have any alcohol before it. And I'd had red wine the night before, and I must have had 3 glasses. And he said to me, as the blood's pouring out of my face, right, like dripping, he's like, did you have any alcohol last night? And I was like, no. And he knew, he was literally like, wiping. And then I went home. It was Christmas time, so that's why, you know, more festivities. So my sister-in-law was coming over, and I was like, I can't have any alcohol, you know, I'm not meant to have any. And then it did, and I thought to myself, now you've just been everything you would shout at your kids for. Like, you did the bad before, and then I had like 2 glasses of rosé with my lunch after. But I remember the pain as well. But the whole thing was that it brings blood to the surface, isn't that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it just makes the
Don't be an ally. Don't do what Ali does.
So it's the same, you know, you generally know, like, we're all wearing masks now, so you don't necessarily smell the alcohol, but you definitely know when people have been out, or but that's not, everybody's exactly the same. It's not a judgment.
Yeah.
It's about managing everything to make sure that you are the best you can be and the most healthiest. That
because then there's like turmeric, right, which is I totally love at the minute, but it's wrecking my teeth. So it's like, for one thing that you're doing well, the next I'm like, why are my teeth so stained? Oh yeah, because I'm having turmeric in everything.
I think that's too, like, I've had an awful lot of conversations over the last couple of weeks about even just things like, 1 minute it's healthy to eat an apple every day, and then the next minute it's not. And it's the same with skincare ingredients and stuff, that they're just, and it's about not following fads and stuff like that, and it works for you. But no, definitely there's the downside to things. And like, I don't offer medical treatments here, but the likes of sort of medical grade exfoliation peels and the deep microneedling. Now I do offer. I don't go past that. And you do need it for certain conditions, like if you've got acne and stuff like that. But there is that huge, then, I suppose, what would you say, time you need to spend in the house and not let anybody see you. Time off it. So it's, we have to just work with what works for us and have a nice balance.
Well, yeah. And obviously I would say, like, maybe it's me being flippant about that. I know I'm only kind of joking there, but it's like after a massage, I would drink all the water, but I was just being a bit disrespectful to Botox, maybe because I shouldn't be telling everybody that's getting it. But speaking of flush and things like that, so I'm quite fortunate. I was just looking there, and I don't have any filters on here, and I don't absolutely hate my skin, but I would be like the embarrassed person that sort of gets it on their neck and on their cheeks and whatever. Is that just like, because we're talking about from the inside out, obviously everything is interconnected, and your face, you can't hide anything. Even actually in my chest, I would get blotchy. Do you have anything saying that?
So like, I think probably when we first started conversation here, I probably went purple.
Didn't notice. I'll look back. I'll put a filter on you, Joanne.
I do lives or anything like that. It's exactly, that happens. The only thing that can help it is possibly vitamin C, because vitamin C helps with the capillary walls, helps strengthen them. Now, I take a lot of vitamin C and I still get that flushing, but I don't have the problem now. I would have been a lot of outdoor activity when I was younger. Mm-hmm. So I would have an awful lot of broken capillaries and stuff like that. And with the vitamin C, that has really strengthened and helped.
Okay.
And now I'm sort of out. No, I would like to say running, but I would say it's a snail's pace of running.
Still running.
Swimming, and I don't have that issue now.
Right.
So I find now I've been probably taking vitamin C supplements continually from COVID for the immunity side of it, but definitely had started that about 2-3 years prior to that. And I have no issue with that at all. And I think a lot of people have that. Like, I know you would be outdoor exercising a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the biggest sort of problems that a lot of people, especially in Northern Ireland, because we have, like, it's a pretty nice day today, but normally the wind's beating off you or something. Yeah. And I think that's the only way.
Or you go back inside to the heat, so it's the extremes.
Yeah. Like, that would be one of the advice I would give to the clients is don't open the oven door and stand right over the top of it.
Oh, I do that all the time, and I actually nearly burned my flipping eyebrows off, honestly.
That's one of the biggest, because the heat just blasts at you.
It's like a really painful facial. I always say that to the boys. I've just had a really painful facial and nearly lost my brows.
So stand to the side.
I am. Well, and then going a step further, that being, me being embarrassed, or there's the the face flushing. What do you say for that? Is that just like the emotional, like it's just that beautiful thing of everything being interconnected?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's sort of, it is quite an Irish skin thing as well, but it is more just everything is, there's nothing in our body that's not connected, whether it's our balance and whether, like, I am quite sort of into the universe and sort of energy, like that. And actually I was having the conversation with my daughter. She doesn't believe that trees are living. She's like, but mommy, they're not. So we've had this argument of me trying to explain to her on a sort of more spiritual level that trees actually are alive.
Yeah.
But
that's really, yeah.
Definitely, like, sort of every part of us is connected, and whether it's through all our veins and the basic things that we can see scientifically, or whether it's through the earth, it's just, but no, it's, I think it's an Irish skin problem as well, so I don't think it's something that you're ever going to change. But you can just sort of help it.
Sweating's my other thing, which, you know, I'm really airing everything here today for you, but my nerves. So I was actually thinking about it, how I would have gone on a Sunday night to, like, we went to different youth clubs. I lived in the country, so you went to all these different youth clubs and different things. And I remember just really vividly, for some reason, I remembered when I was driving to a workshop near one of the churches on Sunday, and I thought every Sunday night I had to choose my clothes based on what you couldn't see me sweating, and like it was profuse sweating. Like, and I still am a sweater. I'm still a sweater, like a nervous sweater. I actually interviewed 2 people, and you see like the sun coming in, and I think like, uh-oh, and that's gonna, so it's like nerves, it's everything. I am a sweater. Anything you want to say on that?
That's where your Botox comes in.
That's the first time I ever had Botox, and it changed my life. My friend was training to do it for faces, and I didn't get it in my face, and it was my 30th birthday, and she did it in my armpits, and it, honestly, hand on heart, that changed my wardrobe. That changed how I felt about myself. I was a bridesmaid at a wedding, and I was able to wear like a satin dress right up my armpits. It was a game changer.
Botox is definitely, like, if it's a lot of sweating, then there's nothing you're going to put on your skin that's going to change that.
It came out my neck, the back of my neck. So it has to come out somewhere. It came out the back of my neck.
We ingredients and stuff that we can help with the sebaceous activity, so that's going to help a little bit, but not an awful lot. It's definitely something more medical than sort of holistically. Vitamin A is the ingredient that I'm talking about that does massively help with activity. But for me, definitely clients that have had Botox for sweating has been by far the most. That there's other things, you can get laser treatment and stuff done on it, but Botox, I would say, over the years, it's been the one thing people are like, yeah, it's a game changer.
And is that just so? But do you think it's like everybody deals, you know, thinking about the inside out, does everybody just deal with stress differently?
Yeah, definitely. I don't necessarily think sweating is a stress. It obviously, stress hormones will trigger it. I would say the level of stress and anxiety has to be pretty high for that. Not normally a sort of minor. There has to be a lot going on. And with clients over the years, there has been, especially for young boys and stuff in school, I think that becomes a bit of an issue with the anxiety and stuff as they get to that 14, 16-year-old. And definitely then sweating is an issue with that side of it. If you can treat that, brilliant. again, but general sweating would not be related to stress, but it would be you saying about the sun shining in and stuff like that. If that makes you perspire naturally, then you do have sort of an overproduction of sweat glands. And quite strangely, the two places you don't have sweat glands is the palm of your hands and the soles of your feet. But they seem to sweat a lot. So that's sort of an interesting one with that. But no, definitely stress is key to everything, illnesses, any problem at all, any skin issue you have, there generally is something stress related.
Trigger. I just want to say for the record that it's not smelly sweat under my arms, it's just constant wetness. It's like I don't stink, although today I pretty much do, because I decided, do I want to get the shower, do I want to get the spray, when I was in the petrol station last night and I didn't have anything, and I thought, nah, I'm going out on the bike. But I kind of regret that now because I can smell my own armpits. So probably a good point that you brought up there are about children. This is something I'm fascinated with at the minute. I have boys. I have 3 boys. I know you have a boy and a girl, and I feel like we've always had, skinny models. There's always been magazines. Like, it's not like any of this is new. It's just social media has been another vehicle to exemplify perfection and to glorify perfection. What has been, so taken into consideration, like influential, like for influences on young people, but also the skin and anything to do with the skin industry over the 20 years, what has changed? What are the big things that stand out for you?
Well, going back to, I was probably only about 22 and I had a salon in Belfast, and I had a mum came to me with her teenage boy who had quite a lot of acne, and she was quite concerned about him. And getting him into the treatment room and going through what all he was doing, what all the different stuff with him, he was overwashing his skin. And he went to an all boys school, and there was a massive amount of boys in his year that were not only just it didn't sound right, they were actually putting bleach on their spots.
Wow.
And they were also wearing like makeup, like cover stick over them. Now, this was an all boys school. There was no girls they were trying to impress or anything along that line. And that was the first thing that ever really homed into me about there being such an issue. I have always been very lucky with my skin. I've never really had acne along that line. I used to have very dry skin, which is an issue for aging, but not so I was always lucky through the growing up side of it that I didn't have the spots and the acne. But that was the first thing that sort of, like, that was before social media. And that was what was going on then. Now there's exactly the same problem still going on. I think even more the psychological side of it is just unreal, because they're all taking photographs of themselves and Snapchat and all the different things is just, it's quite scary, I think. But to deal with it, it is about educating them. And for me, like, I've been in education with beauty from I was 25, and for me, education is by far the most powerful thing that we have. It's, yes, the products are massively important. There's some horrendous things on the market that people can put on their skin, but it is about education, and I think it's one of the things schools are really missing out on. They're not educating children in wellness, They're not educating in how to look after themselves.
Self-love, all of that kind of like
Yeah,
acceptance.
there's just that massive gap
Mm-hmm.
of all of that side of it. I think it is about educating of how to look after it, because, like as I said, he was overwashing his skin. So by doing that was stimulating the sebaceous gland, so it was making them sebum. So the spots were getting worse. And with acne is probably one of the worst for mental psychological issues further down the line. Because it's not only visible, but it's very painful. Like if you've ever even had one spot, do you know how sore that is when you have one? So to think for a lot of teenagers, that's generally the whole way across.
Yeah.
Down the neck, down their back.
Foreheads, and
Yeah, do you know, it's definitely, and a lot of the time, they make it worse by overwashing.
Yeah, it's I think you're right. I was my husband's teacher, and I'm always trying to say to him, oh, you know, I can't be bashing education, because obviously I don't want to be. But I find in what I do as an art educator is people go through school and they're really creative, and then they have to get marks, because look, in the classroom they've got to decide that this is right or wrong in order to move forward and in order to get up the pyramid. But then what happens is people lose confidence. Then they come right back around to my workshops, and I'm re-educating them in that. So when you're saying about there being a gap, I do believe that. I can't believe schools aren't more visible on, and some of them are, especially in Northern Ireland, they're getting better, but it's like visible where the kids are. Kids are on TikTok, kids are on Instagram, kids are on Twitter. It's not about being cool on there, but it's about like, how did they not see that, unfortunately, image portrayal, like what's right here is actually really important for kids. It always has been, but at the minute, that's where a lot of the psychology. Oh, it's gone. Are you still there?
Back?
Yeah, you're there. That is where like the psychological and emotional well-being is. So, you know, there's my son at the minute is dealing with something, and I wouldn't even say it on here, but it's like that to him can't be changed. Actually, it's just who he is, but he is absolutely focused on that. And I don't understand how from a Monday to Friday something is a bit more than maybe like a half hour a week on, you know, this is life and blah, blah. Anyway, so I suppose it's, as you say, it's up to other people like ourselves to educate, and in the home, to educate in the home that acceptance is a big thing.
I think that's probably where it mainly starts. And I think maybe over the last, as much as we've all had an awful time with COVID, and some people a lot worse than others, but I think it has brought us all back to being together, which I think we'd all lost for a long time.
Yeah.
And I definitely think education starts in the house. And whether that's sort of body image and stuff like that, the filters are crazy. I have no idea. I need a lesson in them.
I know, but
everything.
It's like, yeah, the kids, like they don't post without. I recorded a single episode about well, it was for the podcast, this one, Create a Business, and I was actually talked about filters, how some people, they actually can't share anything without one, and you just think, but you don't look like that. You actually don't look like that. Your eyes don't go up like that at the side. Your nose isn't that small, and it's like so scary. But then I guess it's the world we live, so we have to just try. And
one of the things that I came across a couple of years ago was that years and years ago, when I started beauty, we were taught how to contour. Contouring is about emphasizing the good and hiding the bad, and that's what it is all about.
It is genius.
And but I never ever would have said to a client, "Oh, I'm going to make your nose thinner." And I had got a young girl in on a Saturday, and she was like, "Do you know how to contour?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was so into her makeup. Her makeup was absolutely amazing, absolutely stunning. I then started to ask other people, similar sort of age to her, and everybody couldn't believe that an old person like me knew how to contour. And I thought it's just all to do with social media. But they were very forward of coming out saying that, yes, that's what they were doing, that they were all shaping their brows. They were all exactly the same. They all wanted to have this military look about themselves. And that sort of worried me at that. And that's maybe, well, I'm here now 4.5 years. So that would be 4.5 years ago. My daughter's only 11, but I can see it starting to creep in.
Yeah.
And again, it is about, and it's funny, like I would class myself as an introvert and I would get very embarrassed to talk to people. But I'm really happy to come online and do lives and do things like that. And everybody's like, how do you do that? I could never do that. The most confident people, I think, and they never ever be seen on the screen. So I think it's definitely an issue.
But then, like, I love social media. Social media is where I built the business. So I'm not even like saying social media is the thing. It's just because TikTok's so good. I don't know about your daughter. I bet your daughter knows what TikTok is. I'm sure and like, so then you have these girls who are so happy to, and boys who are happy to dance. And I love that because I love dance and expression. And it's a tricky one, but I think that's really important what you said about educating, and it starts in the home, because that goes right through to what Suzanne from Authentic Yoga was saying. It's what Braun was saying. It's what Estelle was saying. Anybody that I've had on, Kirsty, it's like what our kids see, they learn from, and how we are. And I'm quite conscious of that myself, because I really enjoy fitness, but then I get critical of myself, and it's trying to, and we call it an open door policy. We're all, apart from my 12-year-old now, who's just embarrassed, obviously, but like open, the toilets, whenever someone's on the shower, someone decides to come in and go to the bathroom. That's kind of both of us grew up in a house like that, Michael and I. We're not saying it's right, but it's like this thing of, we're quite open about things. Like Michael and I both were on a fitness journey there before a wedding, but it brought up interesting conversations, because it's like, is this about image, or is this about feeling good, or what is it's the push and pull, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and I definitely think now that my two kids are at that sort of 11 and 14, that's the type of conversations I'm starting to have with them. Or over, like last year, my son will kill me if he watches this, but he broke his finger during lockdown, and I had to take him to the hospital, and he had to get changed into what his impression of a chilled out young farmer would wear, or he would go to the hospital. And
I know, but you get that, don't you? Like, you can kind of understand it.
Yeah, totally. I remember when I was that age myself, I wouldn't have went to the garage without having proper clothes on, and
your son would not have coped last night like me when he realized 2 miles from Ballycastle, an hour and 15 minutes from home, that he'd left his bag, so he's gonna have to wear the same clothes again. Oh no, it is. But then I guess like you and I probably are similarly minded. Like, I'm not bashing Botox, but at the same time I'm not promoting it, because I'm a year now without it, and part of me just keeps thinking, I see people, and I can tell now. I can tell people who haven't. It's like, we've got to also embrace aging, because I'm not 20 anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for me. Now, I had a girl in here, a nurse, that was doing Botox fillers, the whole medical side, and I've had Botox myself, and I would not say that I'll not have it again. But I do think it's probably about slowing it down would be.
Whereas all these 20-year-olds in their big trike tights, what are they going to, like, how are you going to maintain that? You're 20. What do you know when you're 20? Very little. I knew very little in this one.
Does worry. Like, you're just, for me, we don't know what the effects of that's going to be for probably another 20 years. Are they all going to be lined and wrinkled around the lips and the mouth if they don't keep it up? Or will the skin bounce back? I don't know the answer to that. would imagine it's probably the more wrinklier option at the end of it. But I think a big part of it is we all need to look after ourselves. And I think everybody needs to do what's right for them and what they like. And seek good advice. That would be my biggest thing. Like, if anybody was thinking about getting Botox or fillers done, to go to a professional and actually seek proper advice, rather than backstreet salons.
It's like all of us, you're saying about the kids too. We all need to educate ourselves, and that's why I wanted to do this series, is because I do think it's really important. Maybe it's because I'm 38, although I told Michael, I actually said I was 37 2 weeks ago. Like, I clearly have just lost track of what age I am. I'm pitching to be younger. But the thing about getting older and being in business and learning about happiness is not even about what's in your bank account anymore. I don't know. It's like the things you strive for. So educating ourselves in any way, especially about internal, external, about us, what works for us, is really valuable.
Yeah, I like, for the last 18 months, I have done an awful lot of personal development, whether it's been through books or mentors or different sort of courses and stuff like that. And it's amazing your mindset, how it can change by just opening it up to a little bit more information. And I think it is, for me, key that everybody gets the information from the right people.
Yeah.
Rather than, like, we're talking about images and stuff like that, and you're getting that. I think that's the problem, is an awful lot of that sort of influence that we are getting is from the wrong people. So I think, sort of, again, back to that, starting at the home, but it runs the whole way through, whether it's a home, whether it's your group of friends, all of that is massive impact on us all.
And isn't it funny how you have to get through life I was thinking back as well about different friends that you didn't really keep friendships with, or that sort of drifted in and out, but at the time that devastates you, and then you realize that was meant to be. It's funny, maturing is really, it's like the skin, I guess, isn't it? The stories, it tells you stories about yourself and about your own journey. Yeah, that's for mine. I call mine are my children, my three biggest ones. I'm like Tobias, Elijah, and Abraham. Well, thank you so much for being honest, even about your own journey as well. It's so lovely to have you. And I love how confident you are in your practice. That's why I love getting my skincare from you. And can you just tell us how people can find you and what the journey, what you said about a consultation. So when people come to you, they can find you online?
Yeah, so I have a website. I also am quite active on Instagram and Facebook. All three are Skinn Therapy with 2 N's, and everybody asks why I came up with 2 N's. I have no idea. I just thought it was quirky. So it's skinntherapy.co.uk is the website, and you can book online consultations or you can book in-house consultations. I prefer the in-house because I prefer to meet the people and sort of discuss everything. But if coming in isn't something that's an option or you're nervous about, then there's the online version as well. So we can do it via Zoom or just over the phone. And yeah, it's a whole journey. So you're asked a lot of personal questions. And I like people to be as honest as possible, because then I can sort of give you the best treatment plan that is possible for you. And I'm very happy to do online consultations, even if you're not near. Go elsewhere and get the treatments that you need for yourself. But in my salon, the treatments are everything. So as I said, inside, outside, and all around. So it could be supplements or stress management treatments like hot stones, reflexology, that sort of thing, as well as skincare. So it's a full package that I would recommend people rather than just one specific thing. But if it's just skincare, then that's grand as well, because we can do. But it's all there, it's all online, and you can even, the telephone number and everything's on there.
Brilliant. And just lastly, taking into consideration everything we've talked about life, about what one piece of advice would you give people today?
Oh goodness, it's a real put me on the spot.
On the spot.
Probably my biggest thing is about sun. I go on about sun all the time, and I think all my clients are fed up listening to me. So I believe that we all need our vitamin D. So we all need sun. And I think it's very important that we all get a little bit of sun every day, but we wouldn't recommend, depending on your skin type, now 10 minutes to 20 minutes. And then you need to put on your SPF.
Okay.
And probably the biggest anti-aging thing. And also a big floppy hat. Yeah. So that's my biggest sort
You're looking at me, Joanne. You know that I love the sun. I'm like,
everybody, you know, but it is important. The sun is, I think, the biggest aging factor, and it just scares me, the statistics of skin cancer in the UK. But we're horrendous off. We think, oh, it's September, we're nearly into October. Do you really need to put sun cream on? Yes. Even if it's raining, you need to put sun cream on.
I know. I'm back. Well, as we know, I've nothing on right now. I'll go home. I'll march myself home now and get some. Thank you so much. It has really been great, and all the best. I look forward to seeing you for a new facial when you tell me that I'm sun damaged.
Thanks.
You're so welcome, and thanks everybody for listening and watching, and I will see you on the other side.